What's up, guys? My name is Castle Vania. I'm an electronic music producer. I've released music on deadmau5's Mousetrap Records. I'm also a film composer. I recently worked on a new film that just came out called John Wick. I'm here with my good friend David Alexander from Icon Collective.
I'm the co-founder and co-owner of a music production school in Burbank. I'm also a producer. I've done a lot of video game scores, worked for television and film, and a lot of artists as well. Enough about us. Why are we here today?
So this is video one of our music theory tutorials, and this is the first lesson. And today we're going to be showing you about scales and how to find the scale.
Let's jump right into it. Before we can describe how to find the scale, we have to talk about how we describe the distance between pitches, between notes. So the first distance we want to describe is one pitch away,
which is the distance between any one key and the next.
Adjacent notes. And it doesn't matter if that's a black note to a white note to a white note, or a white note to a black note. We're just going to abbreviate this as an H for a half tone moving forward. The next distance we want to talk about is the distance between two pitches.
We call that a whole tone.
And again, it doesn't matter where those pitches are in terms of the location of the keyboard. It could be a black note to a black note to a white note to a black note. The important thing is that there's always a distance of two notes.
Easy.
Now that we have that, we can use that to describe the formula for a minor scale. But let's talk a little bit about the difference between major and minor, although this may be obvious to some of you.
Yeah, we chose the minor scale because a lot of my music is written in the minor scale, and a lot of electronic dance music is written in that scale, so we felt like it was a good place to start. The minor scale can be a little bit darker or a little bit moodier. What are some other ways you would describe it?
I would describe it also as driving. You put it behind a really hard backbeat and a driving bass line. It just sounds really aggressive, really intense.
Yeah.
It's definitely meaner as opposed to being uplifting and happy.
Absolutely. So yeah, this will be fun for you guys to play around with.
All right, C minor scale. So C is the root note, the one that all the other pitches are going to relate to. And the first interval that we use to find our second note of the scale is a whole step. So that takes us from C to D. The next interval is a half step. So that takes us from D to E flat. The next interval is a whole step. And then again, we do a whole step. From there, we take a half step. From there, a whole step. And then finally, a whole step to take us back to root. So you might be thinking, great, you just spouted that off in 5 seconds like nothing, but how am I
that's a lot for me to remember.
How am I supposed to remember that? But there's actually a pattern to this. Why don't you share it?
Yeah, the cool thing about it is you can break it down into a repeating pattern. That's W, H, W, so
then,
whole, half, whole.
And then just repeat that again.
Whole, so that's a whole, half, whole. And then there's one more W at the end to take you back home.
So WHW,
WHW.
That's it.
And then one last W to get you back to where you started.
And you can find the scale that way. And notice that this does sound sort of dark. Let us give you some tips on how to visualize this scale. Both Dylan and I look at the keyboard in terms of two zones. The first zone is the two adjacent black notes surrounded by the three white notes. So if you can see this everywhere that it happens on the keyboard, Dylan, you can show them up there. And you can see that this happens down here as well. We'll call that zone 1. And zone 2 is actually the grouping of 3 black notes and all the white notes that surround it. And that also repeats. So the keyboard is basically zone 1, zone 2, zone 1, zone 2, zone 1, zone 2. So in zone 1, the C minor scale to me looks like a backwards L. And if I show this to you on the keyboard, it looks like this. So just for a moment, visualize your keyboard and see if you can see this backwards L everywhere up and down the keyboard. And in zone 2, show them the pattern that we see.
In zone 2, we have the little piece that David and I refer to as the Tetris piece.
Hopefully we're not dating ourselves. Remember the piece that looks like this in Tetris? So if you can see that everywhere in zone 2, basically when I think of the C minor scale, I think of a backwards L and a Tetris piece. And it looks like this everywhere up and down the keyboard. So these are the notes, 7 out of the 12 that we use to create music. These notes relate to each other really nicely. And if we unmute the synth, maybe I'm just going to jam something. I have no idea what I'm going to play, but I'll play something using only these notes, and hopefully it'll begin to sound like music.
Cool.
and I'm playing a melody in the right hand, and I'll be using the same notes in the left hand to create a bass line.
So he's just riffing here, just using the scale to come up with melodies and bass lines that sound good to him. Sound good to me too.
Awesome. So there's our first little quick tip, how to find the scale.
One important thing to mention is that the cool thing about this formula that we showed you, the WHWWHWW, is that you can use that for any note and find the minor scale. It works the same for every single note.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. If let's say we
Maybe
start
show
on
them G real quick.
yeah, if we start on G and we go W, half W, again W, half W, back to the root. There's your G minor scale. So pick any note, follow the formula, and you've got your scale.
And once you have the scale, you have the notes that you need to start riffing, coming up with, a series of notes that work well together. It's a really quick way to like jump in and start coming up with song ideas.
So have fun with this week. Go out and make some music, and next week we'll take it a little bit further down the harmony and theory rabbit hole.
Yeah. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you next time.